Hello and welcome. If you're looking to make a futures bet for a team to win the NHL Stanley Cup, first watch this video. Sometimes it's a good bet, sometimes it's a horrible bet. You'll see why here. The chances each team has of winning is the chances of winning the first round percentage-wise. Multiply each of the additional 3 rounds. For the future rounds at this point, you can only project what their percentages would be based on who you think they're going to play. Say, for example, Washington, Toronto. Maybe they got an 80% chance of playing Pittsburgh, 20% chance of playing Columbus. It might be that high. I think Pittsburgh's one of the better plays. I'll go through each series in the first round. If you're getting, say, plus 1900 for a team, that translates to 20 to 1 decimal. 1 divided by that is 0.05. So you can take whatever odds you're looking at, put 1 divided by it. That's the percentage you need to at least break even. However, letting it ride and betting then to win the first round, then taking your profits, go second round, third round, fourth round is the same thing as a future bet. It also lets you control your risk going through each round as well, but you have to take what the odds are given. Let's take a look at it. We'll start off with the Eastern Conference, and on the top we have the Metropolitan Division with the Atlantic on the bottom. Toronto taking on Washington, Pittsburgh taking on Columbus, and on the other side, Montreal taking on the Rangers, Ottawa taking on Boston. The odds on here are the odds to win the first round from the sports book in which I'm playing with. You can definitely find different odds, and most cases better odds. And this is the odds for them to win the Stanley Cup. So Stanley Cup for Washington 4.5, Pittsburgh 5.5, Columbus 7, Toronto 25, Montreal 12, Ottawa 22, Boston 25, and the Rangers at 12. The biggest favorite for the first round of the Washington Capitals, huge, minus 455, and the biggest underdogs, Toronto plus 275. Decent amount of juice, but if the Leafs are 3.75 on the decimal, that means you need to be about 27 or so percent confident just to break even amongst such. And quite frankly, I think those are pretty good odds. I do like Toronto to cover this series. I think it's about 50% chance they'll do so, maybe 40 to 50%. So I don't think this is a good bet. If you want to bet Washington to win it all and you parlay all the way through, you're probably still going to lose, so you can take them here. But Washington's 5-3 in the first round of the series during the Ovechkin tenure, and 0-5 in the second round. Pittsburgh's taking on Columbus. I'm not playing it, but I like the chalk. I'm playing a parlay of the ones that I like. Other than that, I'm not playing it. And at minus 220, I think it's a decent price. I think they're close to 80% to get by. Plus 550, I think this is a decent bet as well. And you probably do better taking this than parlaying it through. As far as this division is concerned, well, first Toronto, Washington. I live in the Toronto area, so I've seen a lot of Leaf games this year. I've been very impressive with the rookie class that has come to play, but they do make mistakes, and it's going to be very difficult to win. But I do think that they're worth the shot, and I am playing Toronto to win the Cup, but I'm doing it by betting this series, and then I'm going to take maybe 75% of my payout and keeping some of it back and betting on the second round and so on and so forth. Toronto hasn't won a Stanley Cup since 1967. 67. And the Atlantic Division, Montreal facing the New York Rangers. Rangers are a better team in my book. They are in a much tougher division, playing with Washington, Pittsburgh, and Columbus. But they slide into the Atlantic. And what we're seeing for me is that I think at plus 120, you're getting good value for the New York Rangers. Home ice advantage to me means very, very little. And it's like basketball, football, it means a lot. Hockey, it means a little bit. Baseball, it means a little less. But for hockey, it doesn't mean much. Ottawa washed Boston. This is extremely wrong. You cannot have a team that's favored over another team to win the Cup be a huge underdog in the first round. So if you want to bet Boston to win the Cup, you take this. I don't like them. I think they're by far the worst team in the playoffs, at least out of the Eastern Conference. I know that one better than the West. And I don't like it at 25. However, they did fire their coach, and they've done better. And the coach they fired went to Montreal, and they've done better too. It's really weird. But Ottawa, I think a lot of it has to do with Erik Karlsson. If you know his status is to be fine, I think he's the best defenseman in hockey. I think he's better than Brett Burns. And again, I know the East better, and I know Ottawa, Boston, and Atlantic teams better as well. But Ottawa's another wild card team. They're a very fast team and they're good. And they got good goaltending. I kind of think it's a decent bet to take them here, and definitely like Ottawa at the plus money here. As far as the Western Conference is concerned, Chicago's playing Nashville, and I like Chicago, but not as much as I like Pittsburgh. But at 250, if I have to pick between the two, I would take this number. I don't. I would definitely not take any way of playing them to win the Stanley Cup. I just got to think that the Western Conference is very weak. Minnesota, they're playing St. Louis. Minnesota's a team in which has struggled of recent times. Devin Dubnyk dominates the first start of the season, and he's come back to life in the second half. They had a huge lead on Chicago at one point in the season, but they lost it and then gave Chicago a huge win on the division when the season was done. They're playing St. Louis, and St. Louis has done one thing very well since they've came in the league, and that's make the playoffs practically every year and then just losing the playoffs. They went to the Stanley Cup the first 3 years, a technicality to say the least, a good technicality because an expansion team of the original 6 expansion in 67-68 came in. St. Louis won the first 3 years, got destroyed every time, but they seem to make the playoffs every single year and then get eliminated first or second round. I don't know who's going to win it, but I think at plus 120, I would rather take this. I think the winner of this loses to Chicago-Nashville, though. And speaking of Nashville, I think you get a decent price taking them on the parlay each round compared to the 25-1 odds. Anaheim is in at 13-1 odds, and you pretty much get the same over the parlay. Now, as far as this is concerned, I'm going to take Calgary to beat Anaheim. Just because I don't like Anaheim in the playoffs. To me, they're just not that good. They're old, a lot of older players on that team, and I just don't see it out of them. And I don't like to look back at historical years for a team unless the team has been about the same. And for Anaheim, it's been about the same. They got rid of Frederik Andersen in the offseason. We'll see if John Gibson's going to be able to handle the workload. Calgary has the player I dislike the most in Tkachuk. As Matthew Tkachuk, one of the many second-generation stars in the NHL, has been one of the most dirtiest players in the game. But Calgary had a very good run into March, but they've cooled off a little bit lately. I still think they can handle them pretty well. Now, I wish this Edmonton price wasn't so high. I do think they're going to take out San Jose. And at minus 160, however, if you parlay it through, I do think that they're going to be underdogs the rest of the way because these round 2, 3, and 4 percentages are what I think they're going to be based on their probable opponents. So if you're getting minus 160, you're doing it against San Jose. They're probably going to be in Anaheim as plus 120 or so, but if they're playing Calgary, they'll be minus 160 again. So it's a tough situation there. However, they're probably going to be playing Chicago in the conference finals. And that would work out to them being underdogs. And in the Stanley Cup finals, I have to think that every single one of these teams are going to be underdogs because it's probably going to be Pittsburgh, Montreal, Washington, one of those kinds of teams. My pick is that it's going to be Chicago breezing through against Edmonton. And an Edmonton-Pittsburgh final. Take care.